So as business owners, we live in just constant chaos of some order or another, right? But again, back to, we always double down on what works for us before. When we want something to change or we want to get out of that chaotic mentality, we're like, well, last time I launched this or did this, it worked. So I'll just keep doing more. And we think the antidote to solve our problem is more chaos. But if you picture the yin yang symbol, right? It's the opposing forces of order and chaos. We just keep pushing more into chaos. But if we have a lot of chaos, that's not what we actually need. What we need is to balance the chaos with more certainty, which then allows us to go back into the world of chaos and do more. Like a quick way we like to think about this is like, imagine, I love horsepower. I have a crippling addiction to horsepower. So let's say that I rent a Porsche and I'm going to go drive a mountain road and have a blast and all of that. But I wake up and it just snowed overnight. Like, how much of that horsepower, like Porsche 911 turbo, like that's 700 horsepower, can I even use it all? No, I could be driving a Prius and it wouldn't matter because I don't have enough certainty to use the potential that I have. And most people significantly discount the economic impact of certainty. And the more certainty we can create, the more risk or the more upside, the more opportunity we can then go pursue. So we spend a lot of time reducing our tax burdens, reducing our risk, and getting very liquid. Because with a liquid base, we can then see the world so differently than we have before. And so if we can add certainty first, because that's the problem with investing, is it's more chaos. Like, you're like, I'm running a business and now you want me to like have real estate and do all this. What are you talking about? I don't have time for what I have, but you're just adding more to my plate. And it's like, no, we need to, again, reduce that chaos first, create more certainty before we bring in something else. So we spend a lot of time just, like I said, organizing, reducing taxes, reducing complexity, building systems and automations, and getting very like orders of magnitude more liquid than you think you ever need. And if you wonder, like, go Google Apple's balance sheet and see how much cash they sit on. They have more cash than some of Fortune 500 companies' entire market cap. They have more cash than, like, I think that it's just their cash balance alone is something like in the top 50 market cap companies, like the entire value of the companies, how much cash they sit on. So we need to be sitting on more liquidity to give us that decision-making power, and then we can actually go in and begin investing. So we generally start there. And then to now fully answer the question of what types of assets we put clients into, you don't know this, but rate of return is totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter. The rate of return is not what people are like, where can I make the most money? You know what? It doesn't even matter. And then everyone's like, okay, now I'm super confused. Well, here's the deal. If you gave me $1 to go put into an investment and we compared the return that I could generate for you to $1 put back into your own business, you would laugh me out of the room. It would be stupid. You'd never give me any money because the rate of return we can make in our business is thousands of percents. So if we only made rate of return decisions, we would never invest. We would only grow our businesses. But there's a problem with our businesses. And I like to look at it this way. I'm a sports fan, so let's talk football for a second. So professional football, Joe Montana, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right? But he got cut from the Chiefs. And this is before Taylor Swift Chiefs. This is like Chiefs when they were terrible, right? But on SportsCenter, when they talk about Joe Montana, they don't talk about when he got cut by the Chiefs. What do they talk about? The Super Bowl that he won. The multiple Super Bowls that he won. So in sports, there's this concept of once a champion, always a champion, right? And if you can rise to that level, you will always be considered one of the greats, even though we know every great player ends up getting cut. It's just how it works, right? But in business, it doesn't work the same. If I grow a big business, I'm super successful, and then I make a mistake and I lose it all, do people talk about the fact that I got a 2 Comma Club award or have a 10X award or any of that? What do they talk about?
How you lost it.
How you lost it all, right? So in business, we need to figure out what's the equivalent of a Super Bowl ring. What makes it so that no matter what happens, we still remain a champion? Well, that's the investments we get into. That's being able to have wealth that is not tied to the business that we happen to be currently running at any given moment. And the staying power, the actual trophy, the Super Bowl ring is not rate of return. It's not even net worth. It's cash flow. Because if I have assets that put cash flow in my pocket and can sustain my lifestyle and more, then my business becomes irrelevant to me. And I can have total freedom and total control, total sovereignty over even my own business. And I can make the critical decisions necessary in my business to grow it the way that it needs to grow, not based on whether my lifestyle is taken care of. That's your Super Bowl ring. If we can use the business to do that, then we've become what we call financially sovereign. Because as business owners, we're financially free. We can make money is not generally the restricting force in our life. We can go make the money that we need. But we're not sovereign because we're still beholden to the profits that our business produces. And once we can, so the only reason I take money out of my business and invest in something else is if it puts cash flow into my pocket, because that's what gives me freedom.
Yeah, that's really fascinating there. And I love that idea of talking about how interest rates are not, I guess interest rates are the metric that it's relatively unimportant, right? Because like, I think about certain concepts through opportunity cost a lot of the time, right? And it's like,
so you're a smart guy. You know hard words like that is exactly the point.
Yeah. And so like the big deal is not necessarily like how much rate of return you're getting, but like, do you have that freedom, as you're mentioning, by having more monthly recurring revenue through cash flow than you do in your lifestyle expenses or even business expenses, or both? Because at that point, any additional dollar you put in your own pocket is just, it's fun money or seed money or whatever you want to do with it, right? Go start that non-for-profit or whatever that next journey is. If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe.